Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Benavidez versus Figueiredo. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first prelim. But before then, once again, shout out to Mr. A, Mr. Arkansas for the Predict Awards. That's a dope concept, as I have said in the two previous videos or two previous prelim videos. But yeah, dope concept. Connecting the MMA predicting community together, really connecting the MMA community in general together on the YouTube side. I think maybe Twitter, but more so YouTube. But yeah, dope concept, and it's really connecting it. And I think more people should look into that. More people should invest in that. But yeah, on to the predictions. So in our first fight, we have in the welterweight division, Ismail Naurdiev versus Sean Brady. So look at this fight right here. Naurdiev versus Brady. I see two fighters that are young, talented, and they kind of bring different things to the game. I think Naurdiev is like 3-4 years younger than Brady, but they're both still in their 20s, both sharpening their tools and both looking to improve. When I look at Brady, I see the guy that's pretty much, he's just kind of close to the textbook type of style fighter. Some decent boxing, not super world class or nothing, but definitely respectable, solid boxing, especially for the MMA standards, solid boxing. He has some good wrestling, good physical strength, some good fight IQ out there for the most part. In the last fight, he did kind of slow down a little bit, but he was going against another veteran. I mean, he was going against a veteran. He's not another veteran. He was going against a veteran in Court McGee. And that's what veterans can do. They can kind of bring that extra fight out of you. Even though it was a losing effort for Court McGee, he did show heart and was able to win that final round and kind of come on strong and made Sean Brady had to work, had to, pull all his skills. But yeah, so what Brady showed is he's technical. Nothing really super spectacular about him yet. Right now, he's just kind of like one of the fighters that's solid everywhere. He got good wrestling, decent grappling, some good boxing, good fight IQ, and with some time, he could definitely butt into somebody to watch out for in this division. On the other side, Ismail Naurdiev, he has the flash already. He has the star-looking power to him. He can do all this unorthodox striking, very loose, very explosive, very athletic, and got that kind of karate type style a little bit. Explosive. He got a lot of stuff you want to see in a fighter. But maybe what he lacks, the kind of stuff that Brady has, is that maybe he isn't his IQ isn't the best. I'm not saying his IQ is bad, but I'm saying it could be better. He could be a little bit focused on, the basics a little bit more, and maybe he wouldn't have had that loss to Rick Country. Maybe just focus on the basics. Sometimes when you're this flash and people get around that flash, or the flash kind of wears down, people can start to pick you apart and start to find ways to get points on you. But that's not really the point of one. So I see it's a very toss-up fight right here. I see if Brady can really start to slow down Naurdiev and cut the cage off on him, then Brady has a chance also to be mixing wrestling. But I feel like Naurdiev is just faster. He has better footwork, or by a slight margin, and he more versatility with his kicks and his strikes. I think he's better at level changing and stuff as well. And Brady didn't show the best striking defense in his last fight. He did give up a lot of strikes in his debut. So I feel like Naurdiev can control the range, outland Brady from distance. And then Brady, I say, will give him the wrestling grappling advantage, but I feel like Naurdiev is good enough on the scrambles to get back to his feet and really keep the fight at his distance. I think Brady will be trying to smother that distance. I think Naurdiev should be able to control it enough and fight, not really blow himself out to the point that Brady could get in on the inside too much consistently and have too much success. I still see a very tight matchup. I feel like Naurdiev should be able to keep it at his range long enough this fight to land those points. Land those strikes, get those points, and win a very close competitive fight. Just pretty much just outpointing Brady and really not allow him to have that much success with his takedowns and just kind of outstrike him on the feet by a very slim margin, but getting the decision nonetheless. So in this fight, I have Ismail Naurdiev via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Cruz versus Spike Carlyle or Carlyle. By the way, I'm not picking him to win. It's jumping ahead right there, but looking at Spike Carlyle in this fight and looking at Cruz, what I've seen so far, or what I've seen to what I'm coming to my prediction is, I've seen Cruz, he's a solid fighter. But right now I'm leaning him to see him as more of a striker. Spike Carlyle, he has some knockout finishes on his record, but looking at him fight, I see him as a grappler. When you look at his resume, he's I think a couple of national titles in judo and maybe BJJ. I think he had a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and a black belt in judo. So I'm looking at him as a grappler. And when looking at his fight, he looked like a grappler. Striking pretty sloppy at times. He's just very aggressive and goes out there and, he attacks. He knows he has a good grappling. He's going to go out there and attack. And at the lower levels, that can be very successful. But I think Cruz, so far from what I've seen, he has a better skill set for the higher level. I think Carlyle at lower level, you could get a lot of people down and submit them, just rushing for the takedown. But I think at a higher level, people are going to be able to predict that. Are going to be able to react to that. You're shooting these wide out takedowns and just doing these ugly overhand rights with barely any power on them. People gonna get those underhooks and then turn off the cage and then pick you apart. And when the guy in the last fight, I think his opponent, he did catch him with like some crazy spinning back elbow in a very weird angle. But he was slowing down in that fight. With the takedown, he wasn't having success with his grappling. He wanted to. He was throwing empty kicks, breathing heavy, swinging big shots, walking with his chin open. He's fighting a lower tier opponent who wasn't as experienced, who could pick him apart. At this higher level, looking like that, you're gonna get destroyed. I think he definitely get to the ground. He can submit Alan Cruz. But I feel like Alan Cruz at this level, he will be able to. He has a better jab than his last opponent. He has that height, he has that reach, he has that frame, and also he has the explosibility to land those flying knees. So Carlyle shooting these same ugly, sloppy shots. I feel like Cruz can catch him. But this is definitely another fight that could definitely have a lot of different outcomes just based off how each fighter has their little weirdness to them. Like Cruz, he has that weird frame. We had those high hips and can get those knees up. Carlyle just has a tendency to land weird stuff and, to have some luck out there and just win in these weird fashions. But I feel like Cruz just down the stretch and overall, I'm just going to lean to him just based on the fact that he just seems to be more cleaner with his technique and smoother in the ring, whereas Carlyle just kind of rushes things a lot. If he gets you down, he's skilled there, but he's definitely be rushing a lot of stuff and definitely be reaching. And against a guy with that explosive and that can get those knees up there and has that clean striking, and I think if he has developed his what's called takedown defense even a little bit, I think he should have a lot of success neutralizing Carelli's takedowns, keeping it at a distance, picking him apart, making him have to work for every shot. And then when Carlyle starts to shoot real sloppy and start to get fatigued and start to panic, I think he can really get one of those knees up there and crack him and just put him out. And I think he does it in the second round. So in this fight, I got Alan Cruz via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Jordan Griffin versus TJ Brown. So looking at this fight right, you got two solid fighters, two talented fighters, two well-rounded fighters. They're dangerous everywhere on the ground, on the feet, at distance, and close. Two solid fighters right here. But how I see it, I see Jordan Griffin is the more experienced fighter. Yes, he's 0-2 in the UFC, but I see him as more experienced at this level. And he fought some real tough competition in the UFC and had a good outing in both of them, especially against Dan Ige. I'm not saying he did so good against Dan Ige, but saying how good Dan Ige is right now and the fact that he was able to compete with him at that level shows you that Jordan Griffin is nobody to play with. And even in his last fight, he showed some good scramble ability, showed some good offense. He really showed a lot of good things in his case so far. Even though he didn't get no walk away with no victories in the UFC yet, he showed some very good abilities. And what I see between him and TJ Brown, I see TJ Brown having more power than him. I see maybe he's the better offensive grappler, maybe just statistic, like stat wise. I'll probably give him a slight edge as far as when they actually go match up against one another. I don't think it's gonna be that wide, but if he does have a significant gap in the grappling, that could be a interesting thing to look at. But I think it's going to be relatively even in that aspect. And I really want to see it as more so experience and also how that, they're striking more so than just looking at the grappling. I know Griffin can scramble well. And looking at TJ Brown striking, I say he packs more power, but it's easier to read his strikes. That's why he was dropped. I think and knocked out in 2018. He was standing in the pocket too much. But he definitely has heavier hands. Definitely has more power in the strikes and in his kicks. But Jordan Griffin is much more fluid with his striking, much more technical with his striking. So TJ Brown does have the power, and he is pretty clean with striking. He's not like this some brawler. He does have some real good box. I mean, not some real good box, but he does have a real good jab, a real good high kick. Yeah, some stuff like that. And he also has some decent hooks, but that's when he's also vulnerable during those hooks because sometimes he drops those hands. But yeah, he definitely has more power, but I feel like Griffin is more technical on the feet, more fluid with his strikes, faster, so he should be able to beat him to punch. And he's not going to be standing in the pocket with him. That's when TJ Brown is one of the times when TJ Brown is really vulnerable. I don't think Griffin's going to really oblige him in that area. And he's going to really just counter him from the distance, not trying to really get caught up in the inside and trading power with the heavier handed fighter. But I feel like Griffin is more technical on the feet, faster, more fluid. And I think in the scrambles and in the grappling, he can hold his own. So I really see this fight come down to the striking aspect more so where that's going to be the edge at. And also the experience, and I think Griffin has those edges, so I feel like in a competitive fight, Griffin's able to get a decision. So in this fight, I have Jordan Griffin via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the heavyweight division, Marcin Tybura versus Sergey Spivak. So Tybura is on a skid right now. Spivak is 1-1, but just to be straight up, I'm gonna lean to Tybura. I think momentum would definitely be on Spivak's side with a win over Tuivasa, but really in that fight, it's not like he really outstruck Tuivasa. All he did was saw a big hole in Tuivasa's grappling game, and he just took advantage of it. That's really all he did. His striking really hasn't shown no improvement. He has some decent striking here and there, some decent power, but nothing really stands out that is spectacular about his striking game. And against Tybura, I think their grappling game is probably just about the same. Maybe Tybura is even a better grappler than Spivak, but I really would say about even. Tybura had been there with better guys. His physical strength, I would say, is higher than he's more physically strong than Spivak. But definitely, you always got to see these guys in the cage with each other to really get a gauge. But from what I've seen, I think Tybura is the more physically stronger fighter, and he has a better grappling between the two. Both guys are roughly around the same size. I think Tybura has shown better striking skills to me than Spivak has. I think Spivak a little bit better with his hands, but not by that much. And Tybura's kicks are just on a whole different level than Spivak's kicks. And also the experience factor. So I really see this fight as probably a full mixed martial arts fight, but I feel like Tybura will be able to have more success on the feet, on the ground, and just overall just mixing his full game, whether it be like mixing the striking or clinches or takedowns or just controlling the range and distance, landing strikes. I think that all favors Tybura. But I see this as a very competitive fight because Tybura right now, when you start kind of doubt yourself, you got to kind of fight smart and fight tactical. That's going to maybe drop his volume a little bit, but I see it's a competitive fight, but I feel like Tybura should be able to edge this in the striking by a decent enough margin, probably about 5-6 more significant strikes, and probably maybe give up one round out of the 3, but still winning 2 of them relatively clear. So in this fight, I got Marcin Tybura via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Brendan Allen versus Tom Breese. So this one kind of pretty much straightforward. I see as a striker versus a grappler, or a grappler versus striker. Brendan Allen, a grappler. Tom Breese is a striker. But then again, this is always MMA. And really, Brendan Allen, I could do him some better justice about his career. But right now, I'm just going to be looking at him based off the Kevin Holland performance. Yes, he submitted Kevin Holland. Yes, Kevin Holland has some steam. But Kevin Holland often puts himself in weird positions. It was just Brendan Allen kind of was the first fighter to really take advantage of Kevin Holland's tendencies to put himself in bad positions. Like Kevin Holland is scrambly and stuff, and it helps him a lot of times. But really, a lot of times he just ends up on the bottom, or ends up giving him his back, or ends up giving the neck. But he works his way out, and then somehow he just ends up on top again. Like, yeah, but Kevin Holland's a very weird guy. It is that Brendan Allen took advantage of it and had the skill to take advantage of it. But he's not fighting against Kevin Holland's fight. You're gonna fight a solid fighter with solid takedown defense, solid MMA, well-rounded game. And I think Tom Breese is the more well-rounded fighter, and he has experience at the higher level. I'm worried about his inactivities. Like Tom Breese fights like once every year or once every 2 years. So I'm worried about that factor. But I feel like Tom Breese has the footwork, he has the boxing, and he has the takedown defense. And he also has some decent enough grappling to deal with Brendan Allen. Well, is he better than Brendan Allen in grappling? No, but I think he has enough skills to neutralize that. And I think his boxing is solid enough that he can maintain that range to make Brendan Allen have a struggle to get into that, effective takedown range. And he can keep at the end of the jab and really pick apart Brendan Allen, just being a far better striker in my opinion, far better boxer. And I think he picks him apart, like fill out process, being very patient, being consistent behind that jab, being confident behind that jab, picks him apart and like slowly and start to dissect him. And I think he puts him away early in the third. So in this fight, I got Tom Breese via third round TKO. Now to our co-prelim headliner. Well, matter of fact, we're going to because some stuff got switched around. So the Gabriel Silva Carlyle fights was actually on the main card at first and then jumped down. So our co-prelim headliner, I think, that will be our prelim headliner. But I'm going to go based off what I'm seeing. Either way, these fights are going to be on the card. But yeah, so I'm going to say a little bit different. So co-prelim headliner, even though this is the prelim headliner, we have in the lightweight division, Luis Pena versus Steve Garcia. So look at this fight right here. Luis Pena versus Steve Garcia. You got 2 long guys, 2 dangerous guys. But I just really see Luis Pena as the more experienced, more well-rounded fighter. They both solid, but I think Pena, they got kind of similar frames, but Pena just better in areas, better wrestling. I don't think Garcia really has the best wrestling or best grappling, but he definitely has something there. But I think Luis Pena's wrestling, his scrambling ability, his ability to create activity and create angles and opportunities on the ground just much higher than Steve Garcia. So I really understand his grappling IQ is better, and his offense is better, his defense is better, and I think his boxing is better on the feet. But I still see this as a competitive fight, and Garcia's going to be out there and be game, but I think Luis Pena is just going to be better. That's all I'm seeing in this fight. So in this fight, I have Luis Pena via decision. Now to our prelim headliner. It's not our prelim headliner, but this is the final fight on the prelims, but it's the first fight on the main card. But yeah, let's get beside that. Yeah, so now this fight right here, we have in the featherweight division, Grant Dawson versus Derek Minor. One fight right here I see. Grant Dawson is really, in my opinion, just a better fighter. Derek Minor is very dangerous, very scrappy on the ground. But I think Grant Dawson is just the bigger, more physical fighter. And he trains with the right camp, has very good submission defense, good submission offense. But what I see this fight coming down to is 2 people with solid grappling. Grant Dawson has been improving the striking more, so I see him as a better striker in this fight. Even though at first he was more so just that grinder. He has been working on striking and working on his footwork and working on that game. But I really want to see what this fight coming down to is that bread and butter, and that is in grappling. I see Grant Dawson controlling the top positions and really just wearing Minor down with work rate. And I think Dawson's actually bigger too, because he was originally a lightweight. Now he's dropping down to 45, so he'll be bigger. That usually helps grapplers, so he's coming down a weight class. He has that same pace and that size, that smothering pressure, and the relentlessness of Dawson is going to wear down Minor. Minor is very savvy on the ground, but I think Dawson just wears him down, grinds him out, and then taps him out. And I think that's in the second round. So in this fight, I got Grant Dawson via second round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Benavidez versus Figueiredo. And as always, thanks for watching. Now to our next fight.